Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. My brother, 27 male, and his fiancée, 27 female, are hitching up in a month, and I, 26 male, was approached by my future sister-in-law, let's call her Cherry, because she wants a soft loan, running in 5 figures, for her wedding. My sister-in-law and I are not very close or friendly, although we know each other. We attended the same college and studied the same course. I got to know her on a closer level when we competed for a scholarship slot, which also came with an internship abroad. We were quite a few who competed for that scholarship, but in the end, I won it fair and square. While my fellow competitors congratulated me, I overheard my now future sister-in-law bad-mouthing me. She muttered some things about being the teacher's pet and getting the scholarship due to favoritism. It was an awkward moment, but I waved it off as her way of dealing with losing to me. A few days later, after I was announced the winner, I got called by the disciplinary committee. Cherry had cooked up some malicious allegations against me, and she was bent on making me look like the bad guy. Although I was cleared because I was innocent, I couldn't help the trauma I felt over nearly losing my college education. Her lies could have led to my rustication, and the ordeal affected my results that semester. She got away with a slight warning and nothing more. I avoided her for the rest of the school year and had to go to therapy for a while. My family members knew about this because I never hid any of it from them. She met my brother soon after, and they both started dating. While I wished them well and never questioned their relationship, I stayed far away, preferring to be by myself. I got a well-paying job after college and have been saving for my dream house. Recently, my brother and Cherry got engaged. They announced their engagement at our family gathering, and everyone celebrated with them. After the engagement, Cherry began acting extra sweet to me. She would drop messages and try to organize hangouts with me. I never took up her offers since I felt the whole thing was weird. We were never close and the change was sudden. When my brother called me a few days ago and disclosed that they needed a soft loan to fund their wedding, I figured out the reason for her actions. Cherry called a few hours after him, requesting to see me. When we met, she went on and on about her dream wedding and how she needed the loan from me, otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford the wedding. She said she knew I had the money, which is why she approached me. I told her that I do not have any spare cash to give up and you cannot afford to give her the sum she requested. I have already made some financial contribution to their wedding, so I do not see why I have to give more money. Cherry told my brother about my refusal and they both have been calling me over my decision. I maintained that I cannot give them a loan and asked that they check somewhere else or revisit their budget. Cherry got offended over this. She began accusing me of holding a grudge against her over what happened in college. She went as far as reporting this to a few family members and some of my friends, twisting the story to suit her narrative. They believed her story and accused me of being an a-hole for holding her past against her. I'm quite baffled by this. Cherry never apologized for her actions, but I never brought up the matter after she became an item with my brother. We are cool towards each other. I do not trust her to pay back the loan, and I do not want to have money issues with my brother because it is a huge sum of money and it will cost me a lot to lose it. Am I wrong for maintaining my stance and refusing to give them a loan? Am I the a-hole? Update. After the last post, my parents called to find out more about the incident because the news got to them. I told them what had occurred and I think they understood my reasons for deciding against giving out a loan of that nature. Thankfully, they have been able to call Cherry to order. She removed me from the wedding list and has gone back to being aloof. Frankly, I do not care. I see her for who she is and she has proven that she hasn't changed her nature. I'm glad I did not give in to her request and I wish my brother the best in his marriage. Thanks for all your comments, I appreciate it. You're not the a-hole, OP. You were clear about the reasons why you couldn't give them a soft loan. Cherry is an a-hole. She owes you a sincere apology for the stuff she pulled back when you two were in school together. I don't understand how your brother could get into a relationship with her when he's aware of the shitty things she did to you in the past. I guess he just didn't want to judge her with her past, but Cherry hasn't changed much. She even removed you from her wedding and apparently, your brother is also fine with that. You should just continue to stay in your lane and be civil to them. I wish your brother a joyous marriage. Story 2. My wife is not American. Apparently, she is from a country where it may be common for babies to sleep in the bed next to their parents. I am American. We live in the USA. We have a 3-week-old baby. Before the baby was born, we bought a crib bassinet and placed it next to our bed on her side of the bed. This is what American doctors and baby safety groups recommend, that the baby sleep in the crib on its back in its own sleeping space with no crib bumpers, stuffed animals, blankets, etc. This reduces the chance of sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. We put the baby in the crib on its back for the first week. The baby often cries when put in the crib and does the startle reflex thing where it waves its arms around and gets agitated. We got the baby a swaddle suit and he does better with the swaddle suit, but still doesn't like being put in the crib alone. Like all newborn babies, he prefers to be held. My wife now basically never puts him in the crib. She feeds the baby formula, not breastfeeding, in the bed and then leaves the baby next to her in the bed right next to her and they fall asleep together. This is not an occasional thing. It is an all-the-time thing for napping, nighttime sleeping, etc. My wife has been spending at least 12 hours a day in bed since giving birth. The baby spends far more time sleeping in the bed next to her than in its crib. I have told my wife this is dangerous. She says he's fine. She argues that if she puts him in the crib, he will cry until she picks him up. So what's the point? I'm worried the baby will die from SIDS if she rolls over onto him. Everyone who ever rolled onto a baby and killed it said he's fine until the moment they rolled onto the baby and killed him. Am I the a-hole for insisting that she stop doing this, or raising my voice, or potentially telling her this is a stupidly dangerous thing to do? I'm not sure what to do. We're in a bit of a standoff here where I keep saying don't put the baby in the bed and she keeps doing it. We're both parents, my opinions shouldn't override hers. While Googling tells me the risk of SIDS is 5 times higher when babies sleep in the bed, it's still a fairly low risk. Like, there's probably a less than 1% chance she's going to kill him by doing this. And you can find websites that say don't let your baby sleep in the car seat. Don't let the baby sleep in its swing, etc. So am I overreacting and being the a-hole for pushing this as a genuine life or death safety issue? OP, you're not an a-hole for your opinion, but yelling at her and raising your voice is a massive a-hole move. I agree with you and think it would be safer to leave the baby in the crib. He can manage and he'll be safer there. She's completely ignoring what you feel comfortable with, and that's not right. So often fathers get pushed aside because mothers know best, and that's not right. You two really need to sit down and talk this out. Find a compromise, having the baby in the bed during the day, but not at night. Or find something to put the baby in that can block either of you if you roll over. Maybe you have the crib closer to the bed and put the gate down a little so your wife can have a hand on the baby or something. Now for some comments. No a-holes here, though you're creeping close to a-hole territory if you raise your voice at her and or tell her that this is stupid and dangerous. This is extremely common in many cultures and if done correctly, can be very safe. Other people on here have suggested those co-sleepers and I think that's a great idea as a compromise. If you haven't yet, also consider talking to your pediatrician for their thoughts. Depending on their point of view, they might either reassure you that co-sleeping is safer than you think, or give practical tips to make it safer, or convince her that the baby should sleep next to her but separately. In any case, it couldn't hurt. No a-holes here. I understand that you may not have been exposed to the concept as a male in the US, but co-sleeping is something that many do, in the US too. There are mixed reviews on the dangers of sleeping with a baby. Moreover, if she is breastfeeding, this saves her tons of time and sleep, something near and dear to a new mom's heart. Don't berate her, listen to her reasons that it's beneficial to her. Outside of cultural norm, bring up your concerns and most importantly, talk to your pediatrician together. And never infer your wife is stupid by telling her it's a stupidly dangerous thing to do. No a-holes here, different cultures, different ideas about child rearing. It's not like she's acting irresponsibly or homicidally, since you yourself acknowledge the risk of something happening to the baby is unlikely. Personally, although I wouldn't make a scene if it were occasional and she was safe about it, I wouldn't say it's worth taking, not to mention other benefits about letting your kids sleep in their crib. Also, huge fan of the notion both parents' opinions are equal. But if your stance is opposed to each other's and the worst case scenarios are a little more crying versus not quite unlikely injury or death, I would argue it would be decent to give in even just to let your partner stop worrying. Story 3. I have 2 daughters, Sadie 23 female and Hannah 15 female. Sadie moved back in with us after she got her college degree. She's not working at the moment and my wife, her stepmom, complained about her not helping out, or at least keeping the house clean. Instead, she goes out with friends almost daily, chatting or watching Netflix for hours. I had a talk with Sadie and let her know that it's time to help out. I gave her a list of chores to do and she said whatever, but I still made sure she did all of them. A few days ago, Sadie complained about how unfair it is that she has a list of chores to get done while Hannah doesn't. I figured that yes, she's right, and so I went ahead and made an equal list of chores for Hannah, since Sadie stopped doing anything till there's some equality achieved in this house. The problem occurred when Hannah saw the list. She said it was unfair that she gets an equal list of chores as a sister, without keeping in mind that she, Hannah, has school, has piano lessons, and homework and therapy appointments. While Sadie sits around or hangs out with friends all day, then comes home being free of homework or school. I told her it's all about equality. I don't care which one has more time to spare. Hannah got upset and brought my wife into it. My wife said it's unreasonable to give 2 girls of different ages, different routines and responsibilities the same list of chores. I again insisted that I'm trying to establish equality, which is the most important thing yet. My wife said I'm being unfair and requested I give Hannah a smaller list, but I refused. We began fighting and I flat out told her that just because Hannah is our biological daughter doesn't mean she gets to be favored and coddled. My wife got pissed over my statement and claimed that I was enabling Sadie's irresponsible behavior. We went back and forth on this several times till we both blew up at each other. The girls have noticed because of the tension, and the house is now basically split into 2 teams. We still haven't reached an agreement, and my wife is choosing to die on this hill. Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. You are the a-hole. You say you're trying to establish equality, but all you're doing is punishing Hannah for Sadie's laziness. You tell your wife she's favoring her daughter. What do you think you're doing? They are not in the same place in life and should not be treated the same. Sadie sounds like a lazy freeloader, whom you've likely catered to her whole life, hence the attitude. And Hannah does work. So Hannah, a minor child, is in school full-time, plus homework, plus piano lessons. So conservatively, let's say 9 hours of her days are spent on responsibilities, and 8 hours for sleep, leaving 7 hours for everything else. Your adult daughter doesn't do anything but sit on her ass and surf the internet. So 8 hours for sleep leaves 16 hours of laziness. How exactly is it fair to split chores evenly? Or maybe Hannah can quit school and be a freeloader too. Then, will it be fair? You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. Hannah is the wisest person in your household. It is indeed unfair for her as a full-time student to have equal chores with a person who has 0 outside responsibilities. Assume each family member gets 8 hours of sleep. From the remaining 16 hours, subtract work, school, commute time, and homework. What remains is free time, and the person with the most free time should be doing the most chores. Sadie has 16 hours a day of free time, except the time she spends looking for a job. Hannah has maybe 2 or 3 hours free on a weekday and probably 10 on weekends. It is not fair to have a high school student spend the same amount of effort on chores as a post-college freeloader.